It happened in broad daylight, in the middle of a farmer's market. My cousin, Maya, was standing quietly near the fruit stall, white cane in hand, earbuds tucked under her braids, just waiting for me to return. And then a voice cut through the chatter. "You people think you get to stand wherever you want." The voice was sharp, cold, and way too close. Maya turned her head slightly. She didn't speak. "Are you ignoring me now?" Wow. Real mature. And before anyone could react, Karen slapped her. Not shoved. Not nudged. A full open palm slap. Right across the face of a blind woman. In public. At noon. With at least a dozen people watching, and even more recording. What Karen didn't know. She wasn't just being witnessed. She was being filmed from 3 angles, uploaded live, and shared faster than she could blink. Because that's the thing about justice these days. It has a camera. Let me back up. It was Saturday. Clear skies, warm breeze, downtown buzzing with that slow, early summer energy. Maya and I had just finished brunch at a cafe 2 blocks over. She's been blind since birth. Born with Leber's congenital amaurosis. Never once let it slow her down. She's sharp, hilarious, independent, and tougher than half the people I know. But that day, she asked me to help her grab fresh fruit and wait while she picked out honey. So I walked ahead, just a few stalls over. Took maybe 3 minutes. And when I came back, Maya was trembling. Face red. Lips shaking. People were gathering. Phones were out. And Karen? She was standing with both hands on her hips, barking like she was the one being wrong. She ignored me. I said excuse me 3 times. How was I supposed to know she couldn't see? Someone yelled from the crowd. You slapped her before you even asked? Karen spun. She's faking it. Who wears makeup and lashes if they can't see? Maya didn't say a word. She didn't have to. Because just 5 feet away, a teenager was still streaming live to TikTok. And her video had already crossed 10,000 views in real time. What Karen didn't know? That fruit stand was owned by Maya's godfather. And the man standing behind the scale was an off-duty officer who'd known Maya since she was 3. Maya's been blind her whole life. But that never stopped her from seeing people more clearly than most. She grew up in the city, born and raised just a few blocks from the farmer's market where everything went down. By the time she was 10, she knew every sidewalk crack, every traffic light tone, every smell that changed with the seasons. The market wasn't just a place to shop. It was her space. The berry vendor always saved her a box of the ripest ones. The bakery stall knew she liked her bread sliced thick. And the honey booth? That belonged to Ronnie, her godfather. He was like an uncle to both of us. Tall, always smelled like cedarwood and cinnamon, with a booming laugh that could break tension in seconds. The kind of man who never missed a Sunday service, but also never hesitated to stand up for anyone, especially Maya. That's what made what happened next so much more personal. Because when Karen slapped Maya, it wasn't just one person attacking another. It was a stranger barging into her community and treating her like she didn't belong. Like she was invisible. Now, let's be clear, Maya doesn't wear her blindness like a label. She walks confidently, with a cane but without hesitation. She dresses sharp, always matches her accessories, and yeah, she wears lashes, liner, and gloss like anyone else who enjoys feeling beautiful. But to someone like Karen? That didn't compute. Someone disabled, and proud? That challenged everything she thought she could get away with. I had only stepped away for 5 minutes. I'd gone to grab us cold drinks and take a call from our mom, who was checking in before her doctor's appointment. I wasn't even out of sight of Maya. I could still see the edge of the stall from where I stood. When I turned back and saw the crowd forming, my heart dropped. I moved fast, really fast. But by the time I got to Maya, Ronnie was already stepping around the counter. And Karen? She was yelling at anyone who looked at her the wrong way. You all act like I committed a hate crime. She was standing in the middle of the walkway. I didn't know she was blind. Ronnie's voice cut through her rants like a siren. You hit a woman. In public. And you're still standing here running your mouth instead of apologizing? Karen scoffed. So what, am I supposed to fall on my knees now? I barely tapped her. Maya's voice finally came, soft but crystal clear. I'm blind. Not deaf. And I didn't deserve that. Everything went quiet. Even the wind seemed to pause. That's when one of the teens holding a phone whispered, This is already going viral. Another voice chimed in. My aunt's disability lawyer. She's gonna want to see this. And somewhere in the crowd, someone said exactly what everyone else was thinking. Oh, Karen, you messed up. Karen looked around, starting to realize, maybe for the first time, that this wasn't going away. That this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was being recorded. Watched. Remembered. And she had no idea who Maya was. No clue how many people in the city knew her, respected her, cared about her. And that included me. I stepped beside Maya, placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You okay? She nodded once, firm. Let's not let her ruin our morning. But Karen still didn't back down. This is harassment. Everyone filming me, you're violating my rights. I'm going to call the police. She pulled out her phone again. But what she didn't realize, there were already officers standing 20 feet away. Shopping. Watching. Wearing plain clothes. And one of them? Was Maya's childhood friend. Karen slapped my blind cousin, didn't know she was being filmed by everyone. Karen had no idea how far she'd already crossed the line. She stood there, red in the face, voice raised, phone pressed to her ear like it was a shield. Yes, I need an officer. I'm being harassed by a group of people. They're recording me without consent and threatening me. As she said that, 3 people were already live streaming. 2 more were quietly texting friends, sending photos, adding captions like, Karen loses it on a blind girl flush face. And 10 feet away? 2 plainclothes officers who just happened to be shopping nearby were watching everything unfold, with arms crossed and brows raised. One of them, Officer Renee Simmons, was no stranger to Maya. They'd gone to high school together. Had stayed loosely in touch. Renee even showed up at Maya's fundraiser 2 years back when she launched her nonprofit for disability rights. And right now, Renee looked like she was ready to step in. But Maya didn't want a scene. She turned slightly, raised her chin, and said calmly, Please stop recording her. Let her finish her call. The crowd hesitated. Not because they agreed with Karen, but because Maya asked. And when Maya speaks like that, quiet, firm, people listen. But Karen wasn't done. She waved a hand at the group. She's manipulating you all. This is some kind of setup. You don't even know her. A woman from the crowd stepped forward. Older. Silver hair. Green scarf. She pointed a finger straight at Karen. Actually, we do. That's Maya. She's lived in this neighborhood since she was born. You just moved here 6 months ago and already got 3 HOA complaints and a leash citation. Karen froze. Excuse me? You should be excusing her. The air crackled. Renee walked up slowly, her badge now visible around her neck. Ma'am, I'm Officer Simmons. I saw what happened. You need to lower your voice and stop making false claims. Karen blinked. Wait, you're police? Yes, and you just admitted on camera to striking a disabled woman. That's not true. I said she was in the way. And you slapped her. She faked it. Renee pointed to the phones. There are multiple recordings. Then turned to Maya. Would you like to press charges? Maya paused. Then spoke without hesitation. Yes. I would. Karen exploded. This is ridiculous. She's doing this for attention. This is cancel culture. I'm being set up. Renee didn't flinch. Ma'am, you're being held accountable. Another officer, who'd been watching quietly, now stepped forward and read Karen her rights. Calmly. Clearly. without a hint of drama. But the moment the cuffs came out, Karen lost it. "You're arresting me? For defending myself? She's the one who ignored me." "She's blind," the officer said, gently but firmly. "I didn't know that." "You didn't ask." And with that, Karen was led away. Crowd silent. Phones still filming. Maya stood tall, expression unreadable. She didn't smile. Didn't smirk. She just waited. Because she wasn't interested in revenge. She wanted respect. And now? She had it. Karen thought it was over. She thought being escorted off the property, flanked by officers and cameras, was the worst that could happen. But that was just the beginning. Because what she didn't know. This wasn't just any viral moment. Maya wasn't just any victim. And the teenager recording it all? Wasn't just filming for clout. Her name was Layla. 14. Sharp as a tack. Been following Maya online for over a year. Because Maya was a public speaker. An activist. A rising voice in the disability rights movement. She'd given a TEDx talk 6 months ago that went semi-viral. She ran a podcast called See Me As I Am. And she just signed a partnership with a national advocacy group to launch a new campaign on public accessibility and violence against the disabled. The tagline? "Just because I can't see you, doesn't mean no one else does." And now? She had the most chilling proof of that statement caught from 3 different angles. Layla uploaded the full 2-minute clip before dinner that night. Captioned it, "Karen slaps blind woman at our farmer's market. She had no idea who she hit." Within 2 hours, it hit 100K views. By morning, 1.7 million. And Maya? She woke up to interview requests, emails from state representatives, and messages from advocacy groups around the country offering support. She hadn't even spoken publicly about the slap yet. But she didn't have to. The video spoke volumes. What really stunned people wasn't just the slap. It was Maya's restraint. Her calm. The way she stood still, dignified, while chaos spun around her. She didn't scream. She didn't threaten. She didn't curse. She just waited. And when she finally said, "I would like to press charges," it came out like a quiet thunderclap. Even the mayor's office got involved. 2 days later, Maya received a personal call. The mayor's chief of staff asked to meet in person. They invited her to speak at a local town hall on community accountability and disability awareness. And behind the scenes, Karen was being served with a formal complaint, not just for assault, but for violating state protections for persons with disabilities in public spaces, which carried enhanced penalties. But that wasn't the end of it. Because remember Ronnie, the stall owner? He decided to act too. The following weekend, he put up a new sign at his stand. Large. Laminated. "This stall is protected by Maya." And underneath it? A QR code linking to the viral video. Customers smiled. Some high-fived Maya when she returned to the market the next Saturday. A few even cried. One woman said, "You stood up in a way most of us never could." Maya just nodded. "I didn't stand up. I stayed standing." Meanwhile, Karen's life went the other way. The HOA opened a case file on her for repeated complaints and community disruption. She was temporarily banned from the farmer's market. And the footage? Made it all the way to national morning news. One anchor put it perfectly. There's entitled, and then there's criminal. And this was both. 3 weeks after the incident, Maya walked into the courthouse with her shoulders back and her sunglasses on. She wasn't nervous. She was ready. The courtroom was packed. Not with lawyers or press, but with people. Neighbors. Students who followed her podcast. Mothers with blind children. Even Layla, the teen who filmed it all, sat in the front row next to her parents, proudly holding a notepad like she was covering the story of the year. Karen? She looked smaller now. Hair pinned tight. No more fake confidence. Just the silence of someone who realized too late, this was bigger than her. The judge read the charges aloud. 1 count of assault. 1 count of public disturbance. 1 violation of the state's Disability Rights Protection Act. Karen's attorney asked for leniency. Claimed she was provoked, overwhelmed, mentally unwell. The judge raised an eyebrow. Then turned to Maya. Do you wish to make a statement? Maya stood. The room held its breath. Your Honor, I'm not here today because I'm blind. I'm here because someone thought my blindness meant they could treat me like I was nothing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't hit back. I didn't have to. Because the people around me, my community, did what she refused to do. They saw me. A long pause. Then, I asked the court to do the same. The judge nodded slowly. Turned to Karen. Ms. Benson, I've reviewed the video. I've read the affidavits. This wasn't a moment of confusion. This was cruelty, willful, public, and shameful. The sentence? $5,000 in fines. Mandatory anger management. Community service at a local center for disabled youth. And this was the one that hit hardest, a court-ordered public apology at the next city council meeting. Karen's face collapsed. She muttered something about humiliation. But the judge cut her off. This isn't about your reputation. It's about your responsibility. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. But Maya didn't give interviews. She just walked quietly to the sidewalk, where Ronnie was waiting with a hug, and Layla handed her a tiny card that said, Thank you for standing for all of us. Maya smiled. No. Thank you for filming. Later that month, during the city council's open forum, Karen stood at the microphone. Face pale. Voice dry. She read her apology from a printed sheet. Said the words, but not with heart. Still, Maya sat in the front row, calm as ever, head high. Because this was justice. Not revenge. Just justice. And everyone saw it. The story didn't end in court. It didn't end with the apology. It ended 2 weeks later, quietly, when Maya returned to the farmer's market. Same outfit. Same white cane. Same confidence. But this time, people didn't just see her. They came up to her. One by one. The vendor who gave her a free jar of jam. The little girl who said she wanted to be strong like Maya when she grew up. The old man who simply tipped his hat and whispered, Thank you. Maya didn't chase fame. She didn't monetize the moment. She donated every cent of the online fundraiser that someone else had started for her to a local center for blind youth. And when the nonprofit offered her a speaking tour, she paused, then said, I don't want to speak about Karen. I want to speak about what came after Karen. Because the truth is, Maya never wanted to be viral. She wanted to be safe. She wanted to shop for honey on a Saturday without being struck. She wanted to live in a world where people didn't see her blindness as weakness, or worse, as a reason to be cruel. But what happened that day gave her something she hadn't asked for. A platform. And with it, Maya built something better than payback. She built a louder voice. 6 months later, the city passed a resolution in her name, designating the second Saturday of June as See Me Day, promoting respect, visibility, and protection for disabled residents. The mayor gave her the first Community Courage Award. Ronnie got her a custom wooden plaque for her favorite stall. And Layla? Got accepted into a young journalist's program, thanks to the same video she uploaded without thinking it would go anywhere. As for Karen? She moved. Quietly. No press release. No goodbye letter. The HOA didn't miss her. The city didn't ask. But the lesson she left behind? Stayed. People remembered. Not because she slapped someone, but because she reminded everyone how fragile dignity can be in the hands of the wrong person, and how powerful community becomes when it decides to stand behind the right one. Maya said it best at her final council speech. I don't want people to be afraid of Karens. I want them to know that when Karens show up, there will be people who show up louder, better, stronger. And then she smiled. And if they don't, I will.